I'm sure that the title of this video is giving away the fact that we had our first calf for the year. And although this video is quite a bit earlier than I expected to make it, today we're going to be talking about those calves, calving, and everything that goes with it. That's what's going on today on Farmer Tyler Ranch. The first calf this year was born so unexpectedly that I didn't have any GoPros or anything with me to film it, so I did the best that I could with my phone. Let's go ahead and roll that now, and then we'll go back out into the herd and see how far we've come since the first guy hit the ground. Good morning and welcome to a video that I didn't think I'd be making for a few more weeks. Callie and I just got to the ranch this morning to feed cows, and I have no cameras with me or anything. I wasn't preparing to film today. But when we got here, I noticed that there's a cow laying in the corner of the corral there, and she's got a brand new calf with her. You can tell who this is. Number 40. I have been planning to let the cows out into this front pasture here, even though there's really no grass here, but I knew that we were getting close to calving. I didn't think we were this close. I'm gonna go ahead and open the gate and turn them out into the pasture just so the calf has a little bit nicer place to be. I wanna make sure that they know that this gate is now open and they can go out, because what I'm worried about is if I load the manger up right now, that she is gonna obviously want to go get something to eat, and I don't want her to lead her new calf up there. I'm afraid it would get stepped on or knocked over. So I want to try to get these guys out in the field, and I will put some hay in the manger, but then I'll also throw some out in the field here for her so that hopefully she doesn't go up there. Well, they are just not interested in this open gate, so I'm gonna have to come up with a different plan here. You know, and now that I'm looking, I've got this cow kind of dancing circles, and she's got quite a bag on her too. I don't think she's too far off from calving. So this cow that ran out is not the new mother. This is number 12. And she's the one that I was just pointing to, saying that she looks like she's very close to calving as well. But now that she's out here, the rest of them are starting to figure out that the gate's open and they're heading this way. And there's a big boy. He ain't in no hurry, but he wants to get out there too. Our new mother ran out in the field and left the calf. You can maybe hear it bawling in the background. So I want to make sure that I get clear of that gate, because the calf's kind of heading the right direction to go out and follow the other cows. Ideally, I'd like everybody to get out in the field, but I know that if I go in and try to direct the calf out, that's probably not going to give me the result that I want. Usually young calves like that aren't real cooperative, so it's better if mother comes back into the corral and gets him and takes him out. So mother's not really interested in coming back up here. I'm gonna try my distressed calf call to see if that can get her attention. Nah! There we go. I think that's mom. Nah! Always makes me cough. There's mom. We're Works like a charm. That distressed calf call, I tell you, it works like a charm. That got her charging right back up into this corral, and now they're reunited. So I'm just gonna get out of the way, and she can hopefully lead the calf out into the field. And I'm gonna come back out here with proper camera equipment, and we'll sort of wrap this up. That footage was shot back on January 26th. As I'm filming this now, I believe it is February 6th. So it's been a few days. But we're now up to 3 calves, and after looking through the corral here, I can see that several of these girls are starting to bag up, and I think that we are gonna start getting a lot of them hitting the ground. I knew the calves would be early this year because due to circumstances out of my control, I had to put the bulls out a month ahead of time. So while we usually have a calving target date of mid-March, this year I was expecting mid-February to be about right. And even then, knowing that a lot of those cows, even though they were exposed to a bull early on, they might have not been cycling already yet, so I wasn't really expecting to get a lot of early calves. Here at the home ranch, we have had cow number 40, cow number 12, and heifer number 59 all give birth. The heifer was unassisted. She did everything on her own, and surprisingly, when I come here to feed in the morning, you know, all the cows come up here to the manger except her. She stays out in the field with her new calf to watch over it, which is awesome for any cow, but especially a heifer, because a lot of times their maternal instincts are not quite developed like they should be. So she's doing really good. And because she does stay out in the field when I feed up here in the manger, I do take hay out and give it to her while she's by herself. So now the challenge has become, how do I get the cows fed up here at the manger without them bringing their new calves in here? Because not only is it muddy, although we haven't had rain in quite a while, so it's not as muddy as it could be, but the risk that you take, especially when feeding at a bunkline feeder like what I've got here, is if a calf is trying to nurse on its mom or just trying to be near her and they're all crowded in on that manger together trying to feed, there's a big chance that the calf can get knocked over, stepped on, squished, all kind of things that we don't want that would be avoided if I could feed out in the field. The problem is, I actually did try to drive out here the other day, and you can see that is so soft right here by the gate that there's just no way. The 8N just sunk right down to the engine, and I was lucky that I was able to rock it back and forth and get it out. So feeding out in the field is difficult, but not impossible. I can get some hay moved out with the side-by-side. I think I'm gonna load that thing up with hay and see if I can make it through the mud hole here. If I can just get through this gate, then I know that I can make it through the rest of it. I think it goes without saying that feeding the animals or making sure that they have adequate nutrition is obviously of the utmost importance, but even more so during 2 stages of her life. And those stages are the last 3 months of pregnancy and the first 3 months of lactation. So every cow in this corral is potentially in one of those 2 stages. They're either close enough to calving, they're definitely within that 3-month period where a lot of fetal growth is happening and nutrition is very important, or like the 3 that have had their calves, they're on a fresh lactation. Their nutritional requirements are very high as well because they're making milk for that new calf. I guess that's a difference between 4-wheel drive and a little flotation. That was honestly no big deal at all. It's not really a surprise though that the 8N sunk because it has those pizza cutter front tires, and those don't really lend themselves well to going through mud like that. So this is good. Now I know that in the morning I just need to come down here in the side-by-side to feed. So we are going to drop this out in the field, obviously, but I want to take it over to the heifer that's out here by herself with her calf because I want to make sure that she doesn't miss out on any of this hay. My first calf heifer finally walked away from her calf to come over here and get some hay. And that's good. Like I said, her maternal instinct that she's shown is awesome. What you don't want, especially with first calf heifers, is for them to run off and leave their calf, and then sometimes they forget where they left them, or they forget which one is theirs. They just, you know, they're just young, new mothers, and they have a lot of things to learn. While she's over there eating and kind of out of the way, I want to try to get a closer look at this calf. I haven't actually walked up to it yet, because my rule of thumb with heifers is that if they deliver the calf on their own and they're with the calf, you need to just stay away from them. She's busy now. Let's go take a look at this guy. The other thing to remember is with new calves, especially if you disturb them or wake them up while they're laying by themselves, oftentimes they will get up and just start running, and they don't stop until they hit a fence or a road or a ditch, and it's not good. Calves don't have that herding instinct yet. They're just looking for mom, and I've always wondered how far away they can actually see. You know, if they're like a human baby where they don't see that good right away, I'm not sure. But the last thing that you want to do is startle a new calf while he's laying down and asleep. That one was awake, so he saw us coming, and you know, the cows are right here nearby, so I wasn't too worried about it. But it is something to keep in mind. And of course, over here on this fence line, we've got this. This drives me crazy. Got these yearlings here up at the fence, you know, just longingly looking at these new hay bales out there, you know, acting like they don't have a brand new round bale sitting in their feeder right now. But I guess it's like they say, the grass is always greener. Or the hay is always, what would the hay be? Greener too? I think I'm gonna wait for the cows to spread out a little bit, and while they've got their heads down eating, that'll be a good time to go take a closer look at them and see if we can kind of figure out who's gonna be next to have her calf. Yeah, looks like it. You're still a good boy, aren't you? If you've watched my videos for a while, or if you raise cattle yourself, then you probably have a fairly good idea on the things to look for to help determine whether or not she's getting close to calving. The first thing that I look for, and probably the most obvious, is I'm looking at udder quality. If she's still kind of shriveled up or sucked up tight to her body, probably nothing is getting ready to happen. But if you can tell that her udder is starting to fill up a little bit, that is a dead giveaway that she's getting close. What I was trying to show there, and I'm guessing the GoPro probably didn't pick it up, but her bag was actually dripping milk out of it. Now that's number 40, she's already had her calf. But I have seen bags drip like that maybe a day before calving. So if you see a cow that has a bag that's actually dripping milk out of it, obviously she's getting close. The bull is still in with the cows, but that's gonna probably have to come to an end pretty soon. At this point, I'm not too worried about anything happening, because after cattle have their calf, they're not gonna start cycling again right away. Generally speaking, it takes about 3 months for them to start cycling again, but I'm learning that with adequate nutrition and everything being right in their environment, that they can start cycling a little bit earlier than that, more like after 2 months. So he's gonna have to leave the herd pretty soon, because I don't want to end up with a year-round calving season, but we're not quite there yet. Number 33, the cow behind me here, is looking like she's getting close. Her bag's starting to fill up, but she's not the friendliest cow. I doubt I'm gonna be able to get close enough to her to show you guys what I'm talking about, but I'm gonna try. Can you show me what you got going here? We look closely at number 11 here, who you guys may remember as the cow that was in the lump jaw video. This is the same one that, you know, she had the abscess on her jaw and we drained it. She's doing fine now. She's had 1 or maybe 2 calves since that all happened. And as I look at her bag now, I can tell that she's starting to fill up. I always kind of compare a full bag to like a water balloon. It should kind of be engorged. You can see that she's sort of starting to round up down there, and I can tell that she's starting to get close. A bag filling up doesn't necessarily mean she's going to have a calf tomorrow. I've seen them make a bag, you know, the day before having a calf. I've seen them make a bag about a couple weeks before having a calf. So each cow is going to be a little bit different, but it's definitely a sign that lets you know that something's happening. As she gets closer, we would be able to look at her back end and see if she's starting to loosen up back there. If you have a cow that's got a full bag, she's looking loose on the back end, and you start to notice that she's holding her tail up, or kind of what I call nesting, which is when they go off by themselves, kind of break off of the main herd. If you see all these signs, the tail up and the nesting, that means that, you know, calf baby is coming within hours. Nobody's showing those strong signs here now, but I see a couple cows that look like they're getting close. So let's run down to the winter pasture and see what we've got going on over there. All right, we just showed up here at the winter pasture. I don't see exactly where the cattle are. Usually they're out here in this big open space here. So we'll have to hit the tree lines and start looking for them. Of course, first thing we got to do while we're over on this end is check protein tubs and make sure that they've still got enough. How fast they're going through the protein tubs is a good indication of the forage quality that's out here. And these are the same two tubs that I put out originally, and you can see that this one is about 3/4 of the way gone, but this other one is still probably 2/3 full. On a normal year, they would be going through maybe about a tub every 10 days, and these have lasted well over a month. So to me, that's a good indication of the grass quality that we've got right now, and I think that the early rains that we had really helped that. Plus now we're getting warm, sunny days, which is good, but man, if we could get a little shower on top of it and then go back to warm, sunny days, it would be even better. As I was driving back in here, I could notice number 18 over here staring me down the whole way. And sure enough, she's got a new baby at her foot. We got a nice, healthy little heifer calf here. Mother doesn't seem to like having me around too much, so I'm just gonna kind of get out of their way. But everything looks fine here. There's no need for me to really hang around. Just gonna let them do their thing. I think we will go ahead and keep driving through the trees. They're really hard to count when they're in the trees like this, but that's usually the best way to kind of determine if somebody is up to something. If I count 19 here and I know there should be 20, usually that 20th cow is off somewhere in labor. I think they're all here, but we're gonna count them just to double check. You ready to go? Come on, scoot over. Scoot over. So I think up till now, I've mostly just talked about ways to identify a cow that's about to go in labor based off of like physical things that you can notice, such as a swollen bag, a loose hind end, things like that. But there are some behavioral things that you can notice too that can often be pretty good predictors of her going into labor. And the ones that come to mind, first of all, is if you have a cow that is not generally skittish, that starts acting skittish. You know she's getting close to calving and she starts behaving differently, doesn't want you around, whereas normally she wouldn't care if you were around. That's a sign that, you know, something's about to happen, possibly. Another thing that I've seen cows do is before they're going to have a calf, maybe a day or so, they start showing a lot more interest in other calves that have already been born. So I think what's happening is that maternal instinct is kicking in, and they just have that instinct to take care of a calf, and they don't have one of their own yet. So you might notice them showing a lot of interest in calves that are already on the ground. The last thing I kind of touched on a little bit before, and that was when I pulled over into the trees here, I could see that number 18 was just watching me like a hawk. Now, when you roll in like that, it's not uncommon for them to glance at you because, you know, something's happening, so why wouldn't they sort of look over that way? But when I look out into the trees here, none of the other cows really care that I'm here. They're used to seeing me, yet she watches me like a hawk. If you start picking up on things like that, that can often lead you to a new calf or some other sort of issue that you might need to know about. So I'm gonna say it, calving season is officially underway. We've got 4 vibrant, healthy calves on the ground now. And honestly, these are all early. These are all earlier than I had expected. What this means is that the cows started cycling faster than normal last breeding season after they had their calves. The only change that I made to my program over the last year that might account for this is giving the cows the Redmond mineral blocks. The other thing about these calves is that while they are early by those standards, I don't think they're premature. Usually premature calves are awfully small and kind of sickly, but these calves are normal size and they all seem vibrant and healthy. In about 10 more days, the calves will go from being early to now what I would consider to be on time, but I think in those 10 days, we're probably gonna have a few more. I'm not sure how many, but a few. Thanks for hanging out with me today, guys, and I hope I'll see you again on Farmer Tyler Ranch. Is giving the cows the Redmond mineral. The only change that I made to my program in the last year that would account for this is giving the cows the Redmond mineral. Why can't I say that? Redmond mineral blocks. Redmond mineral blocks.